Right. So we're live, and we'll just see if the word gets out to people. But yeah, while we're waiting, we'll just go through some of the results. So yeah,
Yeah.
I can't believe Everton were winning 2-0, and then they lost 3-2.
Well, I think if we'll probably get Braithwaite for next to nothing in the summer. Next summer, if they carry on the way they are.
Exactly right. If I was them, I would have sold him and used the money to buy 2 or 3 players.
Well, at the end of the day, Lindelof and Maguire, they could have had them with it. I know kind of swaps very rarely kind of come off in the real world, but at the moment, I think kind of lose Braithwaite, get Maguire and Lindelof in, they're covered.
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking of. I think they were trying to show they're big boys, but at the end of the day, they've survived relegation the last few years, so they just need to be sensible about things, don't they?
Yeah, well, they thought they had the new owner coming in, didn't they? So, yeah, I think they got a little bit above the station because they thought the new owner was on the horizon. So, yeah, I think that backfired on them.
That's it. And I haven't really got anything against Everton. Obviously, you know, you're about my age. We've grown up having Everton in the Premier League always. I got no real beef with them, so it's not like I want them to go down, but I just think it's sad that they seem to be making a lot of stupid decisions.
Yeah, I think always with Everton, it's been kind of my enemy's enemy as well, hasn't it? So, because they're Liverpool, kind of, yeah, always got that little bit of respect for them.
And we've sold them a lot of players in the past. Zaha, Howard, Neville. Do you know what I mean? We've always
paid the going rate for Rooney.
Now he was a player. Someone said, how much would he be worth today? And I said, well, if Julian Alvarez is worth 80 million, then Rooney's got to be worth quadruple that, 240 million.
Yeah, north of that. I don't think it wouldn't be. I think it'd be a new kind of transfer. To be honest, I think there'd be so much bolted on and so much kind of initially. I don't really see anyone that level coming through, do you? Because he was a freak at 16.
He's one of the best players that England's ever had. And it's sad that he's not doing well in management. But like I've told other people, he picks very risky jobs, mate. It's not like he goes for a successful team. He picks risky jobs to go to.
Yeah, it's because I think he's always someone who likes a bit of a struggle, a bit of a fight, doesn't he? So I can kind of see him personally wanting that kind of job. But will it work? Is it going to work out for him long run? I don't think it will. I think he'll probably be out of management, Gary Neville style, within a few years if he carries on the way it's been.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. He said that he had the idea that he wants to manage Man United at some point, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
There's going to have to be a lot of water under the bridge for that to happen one day.
Do you reckon he would have been better off being an assistant manager somewhere, learning his trade, and doing it that way?
I think, yeah. Well, I think virtually everyone should. It's crazy how young they're coming into the game now as managers. There's so many kind of, as soon as they've retired, they're kind of onto it, aren't they? And managing early 40s, late 30s.
I reckon like a lot of people don't want to be managers, so they prefer the easy job of working for Sky Sports. But that's what I mean. Fair play to them for actually trying.
Or Danny Simpson. Have you seen what Danny Simpson's doing?
No, what's he doing?
He's boxing some YouTuber kid.
Really?
Yeah, Danny Simpson got into YouTuber boxing.
What's like serious boxing? Not charity.
Well, it's on one of the. I think it's Misfits in it with like the KSI and Sidemen, them type of people, in it. So yeah, he's fighting. Oh, what's the kid called? Danny Aaron's. He's fighting because I only really know like YouTube stuff like that and the Big Ginge kid. So he's like in that periphery. So yeah, he's fighting Danny Simpson.
Strange world, isn't it?
That's an ex-Man United Premier League winner. And he can't be hurting for the money already.
I think they spend their money unwisely, unfortunately.
Yeah, I suppose if you're kind of used to spending so much, as and when then the second it stops coming in, if you don't rein that back straight away and you've not got money coming in from other avenues, yeah, I suppose you will end up fighting a gamer in a like white. Well, it's basically white collar boxing, in it. Let's not call it proper boxing. It's yeah. So yeah, Danny Simpson doing that. I only saw that last night, to be honest.
The equivalent is Neil Webb, who used to play for us. Obviously, he got injured and then he became a postman.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, yeah, posting Neil Webb, wasn't it? Well, it's with that as well. I ended up knowing Remy Moses and playing kind of in the same five-a-side team as him and his lads. Because my mum and dad ran a roller hockey team and his lads played roller hockey. And Remy ran, I think they were called Moss Side Warriors. So kind of a bits and bobs with him. But he got into landlording game, to be honest. He's got a lot of property here, there and everywhere. But United proper did fuck him over. They advised him to take the payout over a testimonial. He was offered a testimonial, but then talked out of it by the club, basically.
The testimonials even exist anymore. I can't remember the last one that we had for a Man United player.
I don't think it was a player one, was it? Was it like, so remember the Fergie thing, the Eric thing? There's been some charity things, haven't there? But it always just used to be Celtic, didn't it? Celtic on a Wednesday or Tuesday night at the back end of the summer. Oh, yeah, drunken Scots folks pissing and spitting everywhere. Oh, man.
So, what are your thoughts on the game tomorrow versus Liverpool?
I don't know. It's so early in the season. It could go massively either way. So I don't think anyone's nowhere near getting into a stride. We've got that many new players. I don't know. I wouldn't like to say it's going to be one thing or the other tomorrow. I'd like to see him. Looking forward to seeing Xerxes properly.
Yeah, he's got to start, hasn't he?
Yeah, especially there. Hoyland, he's come back from every injury, but he's just had crap luck with injury, hasn't he? At just the wrong times, a few times.
It's a bit worrying, though, isn't it? Because he's young. It's not like he's an old one. He's a young one.
Yeah, well, he had it. He was out with his back when we bought him, wasn't he? Was it his back?
Yeah, they said it showed up in the medical or something, didn't it? Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. Said it in the medical, didn't they? So unless you're willing to give them time to recover properly and not do, because Hargreaves, when we bought him, if they would have like let the because it's tendonitis, wasn't it, in his patella tendonitis, it was. If they would have like let that cleared up, he probably would have had a bit of a longer career. But we were just patching him up and getting him on the pitch, weren't we?
It's the story of our club for quite a while now, to be honest, mate.
Well, did it to Saha?
It's because the stakes are so high. It's a massive club. Your career's short. You want to play as many games as you can, and you probably play games you shouldn't.
Yeah, exactly that. It's and you get some. There's so much luck involved as well when it comes to injuries. All it takes is the wrong step, the wrong way on the wrong day, and you're out for 9 months. There's so much luck involved on top of everything else.
What concerns me is that, like last year, there was an international tournament in the summer, so there was this time, and you know, it could happen again. It
Yeah,
could happen again with these injuries.
well, I think last season we were still suffering from the knock on from the Winter World Cup because it went late, but then the players were back again at the normal time, weren't they? Well, the season we were still playing football in June and they were back at the normal time. So I don't think anyone got the time to recover properly.
No, that's it. And last season, they were saying that we played the most games in Europe or something.
Yeah, exactly that. It's with any little bit of success comes more games, and if your squad's not big enough and not balanced, I think balance as well is just as important as it being big enough in it.
Which brings me to Sancho. So we're a winger down now. We're only left with four wingers, and we know that Anthony doesn't play very often. So really, we've only got three.
Yeah, I think basically it's kind of that's what you look at, and it kind of two for each position. So in terms of that, we should be okay. But I think now we've got two forwards now, aren't we? In Xerxes and Poyland, who would complement each other playing together. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw kind of a diamond or box midfield, whatever you want to call it, and kind of playing 4-2-2 with no wingers. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw at some point.
I couldn't tell you, mate. I couldn't tell you. I think, me personally, I think Garnacho plays better on the right than he does on the left. So you've actually got three wingers who play better on the right wing. You could even say Rashford does, because last time he played on the right, I think he set up Holland with a goal from across.
Well, I think Garnacho in particular, he's added a lot to his game rather than just trying to cut in and score. I think it's added a lot to his game, Garnacho playing on the right, and it's ultimately I think we've seen a better player from it.
I think he's all right with his left foot as well. Now and then I've seen him shoot with his left, and it's not
Oh
too
yeah,
bad.
yeah. It's not like Giggsy, is it?
Yeah, that's it. But with Anthony, I'm going to totally write off last year because obviously he had off-field drama. So I'm not even going to judge last year. So I'll give him one more season to see what he can do.
Well, I think there last season, yeah, I think kind of everything with the injuries. But to win two trophies in 2 years, for me, I think that buys you a bit. It's ultimately football's about trophies. I think it's realistically, unless we kind of spend serious money next summer, we're looking at 2-3 years at the very least before you can be looking at a run at the league.
I agree with you. I go as far as saying that top four is really hard. We've got the hardest league in the world. Getting top four is hard nowadays. So that's going to be the first thing. League is like, can't even think about that right now because you have to be so consistent. And unfortunately, that's something that we're not at the moment.
Yeah. I think as well with that top four, and when you get into the Champions League, we saw it. We weren't prepared for it. The squad wasn't big enough, and we didn't have the quality there, and it was just a waste of time, wasn't it?
It was, but the thing is, again, because of our age, I remember that kind of mess up when Fergie was there. We got kicked out of the Champions League, didn't even make it into the Europa League. I remember that. So like you said, we've won 2 trophies in 2 years. If we win the Europa League, then that's pretty good. Considering that Tottenham never win anything, Arsenal haven't won anything in 5 years. Another trophy, I'd be happy with that.
Oh, exactly. These 90 other football teams in this country that sell the soul for the last 2 years we've had.
Exactly. All we got to do is just finish in a bit more respectable position, because obviously eighth isn't good enough. But then
Yeah.
when you factor in the injuries, then we're always going to not finish strongly. But yeah, God knows.
I think yeah, with sorry.
No, go on, mate.
I was going to say, yeah, with the injuries, there are people going, it's not an excuse. To go, well, it is an excuse, and it's a fucking valid one as well. I think that's probably the best and most valid excuse you can have for a team not performing. If you've not got the players to put on the pitch, it's yeah. I don't know. Some people just want to fucking moan for the sake of moaning, don't they? They didn't want Ten Hag. They've already nailed the master of it all. So all they're doing is looking for any negative to try and prove them right. I think some people, especially online, I think that's just how some people are, in it.
A big problem that we've still got up to this point is Player FC, and what I noticed is that people are using the fact that we sold Sancho to Chelsea to now say that the whole window was a disaster, whereas I don't agree with that whatsoever. What
Oh,
about you?
mate, to save the wages and to see that dickhead out of the door, that was just the seal he needed at the end of the transfer window. I think it's been the best one since Fergie and Gill left.
The amount of players that we've got rid of who aren't part of the future is insane.
Yeah.
Especially when so many of them would be on decent wages. And I think next year we'll get rid of even more, mate. And then I think we're really going to start seeing changes. You know, once we get rid of sort of older players who aren't playing, who are just waiting for their last paycheck, the better.
Yeah. Well, that's it. You can't sell what people don't want either, can you? So it's like Lindelof. No one wanted him. Did anyone even sniff around him this summer?
There was always rumours that Mourinho would take him at Fenerbahce, but that never happened.
Yeah, you think that would be a no-brainer, wouldn't you? Because he preferred him to buy, certainly, didn't he, Jose?
But with Sancho, right? BBB went online and sort of boasted about, oh yeah, you know, we know how good he is, and then they don't end up actually buying him, which is a joke. Juventus say they're interested, they don't buy him, another joke. So literally, the only team who bought him is a team who buy anything with a pulse right now, and that's Chelsea.
And I think as well, the manager, right? The manager he's got, he's not going to get away with shit. They're not going to give him 3 and 4 months off to get his head right. Well, I suppose he can just hide behind the other 50 players in front of him, can't he? And that way. But I think he's going to clash straight away with their manager.
I couldn't believe I saw it yesterday. He was on £300,000 a week at Man United.
That's crazy, isn't it? And we chased him for 2 years as well. We knew he was a dickhead. We knew he had form for not turning up to training, doing the bare minimum, thinking that's enough. He's had form of doing that since he was a child. So I don't think Fergie goes anywhere near that player. Or if he does, he changes him fundamentally as a person.
Even Ineos, mate. I think if Ineos had been here, they would have. If they were going to buy him, they'd buy him for half of what we spent. There's no way they'd spend nearly 80 million on him. No way.
It's one of them. They knew we were desperate, and the Glazers and the idiots they put in charge from Woodward, dropping $1 billion on failure. Well, apart from we had the FA Cup under Van Gaal, didn't we? And we had the Europa. under Jose, but like if they would have put in proper football people, like Ineos have done, we'd have been toe to toe with City every step of the last kind of decade. Because if you've got the proper football people there and proper plans, if you throw the money on top of that, success will come.
I don't know your opinion on this because we haven't spoken about it. I would have personally taken Sterling, let Sancho go, and I would have brought Sterling in. What do you think about that?
Right. I spoke to my mate about this before, actually. I think I would take him, but I understand completely why Ineos didn't.
What, because of the age and that kind of thing?
I think the age, the possible kind of, I don't know what wages he would have been after. And I think it's a step sideways, isn't it, when we want steps forward?
That's the only sort of reason that I can think of is that they said, didn't they, right at the start of the window, they're only going to buy players under 26, I think it was.
Yeah.
But now and then, I wouldn't mind if they broke that sort of mantra. And the reason I would have taken him, mate, is because he can play on the left and the right wing really effectively. He can score with both his left and right. Anthony is not going to score a goal with his right foot probably ever in his career. Ahmad doesn't like to use his right foot, and Rashford doesn't like to use his left foot. So the fact that Sterling is ambidextrous, or whatever you want to call it, with the feet, that was a big thing for me. But yeah, it must just be the age. But I would have taken him.
No, I think he's a pure kind of wide forward as well. When we calling them wingers, he is more of a proper just inside forward.
I would hazard a guess and say that he'll do more for Arsenal than Sancho will do for Chelsea.
Oh, without a doubt. I think Sancho in this league, no. I just don't. I don't think he's cut for it. I think we saw enough of him for United, and I just don't think he's cut for it.
And me personally, I think I've been very patient with him, very patient, But when it comes to the fact that he would rather go to a direct rival in Chelsea's and play for United and fight for his position, that just makes me like crazy, mate.
I think the worst thing was what the falling out was over. It was nothing. It's the most innocuous. Like, we've tried everything to get this player's head right. We've sent him off with his own coaches on holiday and give him time. Let him be late and not kick off properly. We tried everything with that kid. He's not a kid. He's a fucking fully grown man as well. Anyway, I'm calling him a kid. It's just because I'm old. But yeah, the first time it's like we tried the metaphorical carrot time and time again. And the first sound, like the slightest kind of hint of the stick, he's just acted like a little bitch and just proper mardied off.
This is the thing, mate. When you're on £300,000 a week, that's got to change you as a person. They don't think of themselves like you or me. They can't do. They can't do.
I think he's probably surrounded him with like yes men as well, who people where if like someone that genuinely had his best interest in his career in mind, they'd say, "Fucking just say sorry, whether you mean it or not. Come out, say sorry on your Instagram, whether you mean it or not. It's done, it's dusted. He's in the past." But I think he will have had his mates there who are basically on his payroll going, nah, bro, you're in the right there. You're in the right there. Don't apologize to him. Don't apologize him. You'll look weak. And I think that's probably what's happened because I don't see. It was just so innocuous, the statement as well. It was nothing. Like, he's not trained brilliantly. That's all that got said.
It's just depressing, isn't it? It's just depressing because none of us want our players to fail. None of us. I would rather every single one did a job and we don't get this whole drama. But the Jadon Sancho thing, all it has been for a year or so or more is drama every day.
Yeah, it's just another thing taken away from the football, another stick for people to bash the club with, to bash the manager with.
And what annoyed me, another thing, is we hadn't even broken Agate's signing that long before the Sancho news came out and overshadowed it.
Yeah, that went weirdly long, didn't it? It's everything was done. It looks like it didn't actually kind of get finalised to the last minute.
I think everything's timing, mate. I think they release the information when they think it's the best time to do it.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, it's like one story at a time, innit? And I think the McTominay leaving was what they wanted to focus on. Which I'm a bit gutted he's gone. To be honest, it's even though he's never going to be Brian Robson or Roy Keane because he's not got a clue how to defend. But going forward, and when we needed him, sometimes he came in the clutch, didn't he, and did it. So, and if you can have another 2-3 people around the club who have his personality and influence there, that can only be a good thing.
I think midfield is definitely not his position, though, mate. Definitely not. He hasn't got the technique to be a midfielder. He's good at, arriving in the box and scoring a header, scoring a shot.
Well, I think what you'll do there is Lukaku gone to Napoli? Did he go there?
Yeah.
What he'll do, I assume, because I did watch quite a bit of Napoli, but like the role Hamsik used to play. It's kind of like a number 10, but
Yeah.
you have to get back and get stuck in as well. I think they'll use him as that. And in Italy, he'll fucking smash through them like Godzilla. Yeah, I think he'll do well there.
I do.
Oh, that's up to him. Well, I think that's one of the clubs, though, isn't it? That if you want to play for someone else who's not United, and I think Napoli's certainly one that you look at, isn't it?
And that's why I would rather Sancho went to Juventus and Chelsea. I'd rather our ex-players go abroad rather than play against us like Welbeck does because he scores every game.
Yeah. Well, you can't. Well, at least this season he can't play against us, can he?
No, because of the loan.
Yeah. I still can't believe, to say another one with transfers, the Tobido thing, why we couldn't just buy him and not register him in Europe.
I don't honestly know.
Well, surely someone would have thought that because I'm not the fucking. I can't be the only person that's thought of that. So why wasn't it? I just don't get why that wouldn't be allowed. Because the problem is we're in the same competition. Fair enough. Just don't register him for the competition this year.
What we don't know is how much if he actually wanted to come to United. We have no clue. He may have said, "No, do you know what? I'd rather just play in Europe. So forget it. I'll go somewhere else."
Yeah, it is kind of. We just all assumed, didn't we? Thought he's at Nice, Ineos on Nice. I think some people were basically treating him as our player from kind of the day Ineos was sorted, weren't they? Certainly online. Sorry, I've got a cat being a knob.
I can hear it. To be honest with you, we might be better off getting Euro anyway. I know he's injured, but he'd probably be a better player in the future.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think I'm glad Mbappe used up all that money because I think otherwise he would have been at Madrid, wouldn't
And this is why you don't believe everything you hear, because Fabrizio Romano was saying, Euro only wants Madrid. He was saying that day after day after day, and here he is at Man United, mate.
Well, I think at the end of the day, a well-run Man United is something that every player in the world looks at and goes, "Yeah, I want that." If you see that we're going to be starting to be run well and run as we have been in the past and run as a proper serious football club, which player in the world doesn't want that?
And that's the other thing. A lot of players said straight away, "Yeah, I want United and only United." De Ligt said that.
Yeah.
Ugarte said that. So
I think that they get it. I think Martinez is one of them. He's got it straight away on it.
I think South Americans do, because they probably, Man United are big everywhere, so they probably realise how big they are before they even come to the club.
Yeah, so I saw a thing before with Martinez where he's saying, "I've won the World Cup, I've won the Copa America, won the FA Cup, won that, and I want more." And that's exactly what we need to be looking at, and players who have that kind of outlook, don't we?
What I need, though, is I need him to be a little less rash with his tackles, because I feel like that leads to him getting injured further on down the line. I want him to be a bit smarter, read the game better, and know that he's got De Ligt there or Euro there who are good quality defenders. Obviously, when you play with Lindelof and Maguire, you're probably a bit nervous, aren't you, that if you mess it up, it's probably a goal.
Well, I think the last big injury, he caused that himself, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I said that online and some people had a go at me, but it's true.
No.
He was overly aggressive in a point he didn't need to be, and he ended up actually injuring himself. So what's the point?
Because he's such a good footballer as well. On top of it, he's got to kind of work out, do you want to be Gabriel Hines or do you want to be Rio Ferdinand? Because I think he can go either way. So I hope he kind of chooses the more Rio way than just ending up as a hatchet man, because he can be so much more than that. He's so good on the ball.
I'm surprised that he hasn't played in other positions, because he's so technically good with the ball. I'm surprised he doesn't play DMF or left back or right back or just somewhere other than centre back. I find that quite strange, really.
Apparently, he played there for Ajax bits and bobs, didn't he? I think was it him and that Alvarez. I think they both kind of filled the DM role at times there, didn't they? Ajax. And he looked okay at left back in the Charity Shield, didn't he?
I just think it depends on who he plays against, and if it's someone really fast and like nippy, he may struggle. But we don't need to even worry about DMF now, because Ugarte is there now. He's 23. He could be there for like 6-7 years.
I think we can finally let Casemiro do the job he excels at as well now. After 2 years of doing the job of two people, going to and just being ran into the ground, I think we'll see a different player. No, now we can use him sparingly.
I'm glad you say that, because there's not many of us who still sing Casemiro's praises. But I know how good he can be. He can pass it well. He can header it. He can clear it out the box. He's got a lot of weapons in his quiver or whatever. Yeah. But because he gets outrun, because he's the only one defending, everyone goes, "Oh, it's Casemiro's fault. It's Casemiro's fault." What about the other two midfielders who are leaving him exposed constantly? What about that?
Yeah, exactly. The amount that he was left on his own, kind of Maguire as well, to push up when he does as well. I suppose it's half him not pushing up at the right time and then trying to mitigate the ball just going back over his head in it. So yeah, there was times where Casemiro was just. Well, I suppose Maguire gets it as well, doesn't he, sometimes? But there was times where, what else do you want Casemiro to do? He's exactly where he should be. How is that his fault?
I'm not adverse to him playing alongside Ugarte for a few matches, especially the big matches. Say Ugarte had been signed before, I wouldn't have a problem with Casemiro and Ugarte playing there. And then whoever you want to pick, whether it's Mainu or Bruno or Mount, whoever. But I just think those two make you so much more solid.
Yeah, definitely. It really does give you that kind of base to play from. I know kind of Casemiro isn't ever going to be Pirlo, but it's kind of because that's always been what I wanted at United. You know, kind of that midfield three, like Gattuso, Pirlo, and Seedorf. That since that Milan team. That's kind of what I've wanted, that kind of balance. And I thought we were going to kind of get that when we got LVG, because in being Dutch and all, it's a 4-3-3, isn't it? And then the same with Ten Hag, but we've not had the players. But I think we've finally got the players now, haven't we?
I think Ten Hag's first season, where you had Casemiro and Eriksen playing quite often, worked well for quite a while. Because they're good on the ball. McTominay's not good on the ball. That's why you can't put him there. It's as simple as that. He's a chaos player. He's there to cause chaos to the opposition.
Oh, in his own half, he struggled in his own half as well. He struggled to kind of escape cover. So he'd make the defender's job harder, and he'd make the other midfielders' jobs harder just by dropping back. As I say, he had his strengths, but being near his own half wasn't one of them.
Do you think De Ligt and Xerxes start tomorrow then?
I think they probably should, because I think Maguire, as you say, I'll always defend Maguire, but now we've got genuine alternatives. I think De Ligt's just a better player, innit? And if he's up to speed, fitness-wise, I think he's got to start.
He's got so much experience. Ajax, Juventus, Bayern, they're all legacy clubs, historic clubs. And you don't get to play for them unless you're a decent player. It's simple as
like fucking Thanos. What's after us? AC Milan, and then that's it.
It's like one of my favourite players ever, Edgar Davids. Barcelona, Inter Milan, AC Milan, Ajax. You know what I mean?
That's it. So Seedorf as well. Fucking, he did kind of the other side, didn't he? Ajax. Then, oh no, he went to Brazil. He went to Brazil after Milan, didn't he? It was Madrid. Was it Madrid straight after Ajax?
You're using my brain there, mate.
I think it was I think that works out about, because I remember him scoring that belter, and that must have been 97, 98, I reckon. And what did that Ajax team win? Was it 96? So saying that, he might have gone somewhere and it not worked, and then gone. Actually, did he go somewhere and it not work, and he went to Real Madrid?
I'm not sure, mate. I'm honestly not sure.
I'll have to check that after we come off. That'll do me. I'll lose sleep over that tonight if I don't check when we come off.
The other thing that annoys me, right, is people moan about how many Dutch players we have. If you know anything about football, you know that Dutch players are technically very good.
Right, you can never have too many fucking Dutch players.
Exactly. They're taught to play in different positions, mate.
What's next? Fucking, we got too many South Americans as well. Oh, give me a fucking break. Yeah, I'd love if it was all Mancunians, but the talent pool ain't there. Certainly North Manchester. Fucking, we don't really produce. I think Brandon Williams is the last footballer North Manchester produced, and that's gone brilliantly, hasn't it?
One player we got to look after, though, who is an academy player, is Manu. He can't get burnt out. He can't be playing every game like he did last year. He can't.
Yeah, well, I think last season his injury helped him, didn't it? In a weird way, that he could just come. He came in after Christmas, and he was raring and ready to go, wasn't he? So I think him only having to play half a season, I probably would have preferred him not to go to the World Cup. Well, that's just me. But yeah, I think we really need to kind of be very, very clever with his game time this season. And I think we got the players there to allow it, haven't we?
I don't know, because obviously, like I said, I would go with Casemiro, Ugarte, and then one of either Bruno, Manu, or Mount. Mount's injured quite a lot,
Most likely
obviously.
injured again, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. So then it's just between Mainu and Bruno. I
But
didn't like
yeah,
seeing Bruno make that fuss when he came off as sub the other day. I did not like that at all.
Because Hannibal's gone now as well, and we were proper stacked for midfielders at the beginning of last season. I think it was kind of six, weren't there? 6 or 7. But some weren't up to it, and Hannibal was one of them. Some of them did brilliant at 17, 18, but haven't quite going to be ready. Yeah, I think he's going to need to cook for a few years and play football somewhere where there's less pressure on him. So I think that would probably do him the world of good. I think he'll look like a world beater at 23, you know, kind of like Angel Gomez is coming through now.
Yeah, I mean, I think DMF wise we're good because we got like 3 there. You could argue Collier's DMF, Ugarte, and Casemiro. It's just sort of who are you playing with?
Well, I think if you're playing I think if you're playing De Ligt and Martinez, you can get away with just playing one because they're both so good on the ball. Because I think it's partly Casemiro's struggle last season was having no Martinez there when he played most of the time.
Yeah, definitely, because straight away you got someone who's good on the ball, who can bring it forward, who can give you a good pass. He's not there anymore, which is why it's so important that he doesn't do all that reckless shit that gets him injured. Because if he does get injured, then we are a bit, you know.
That's why I was pushing what's his face from Atletico Madrid, Atletico. He's still not got a club, has he? Moso.
I remember you saying
God,
that
was
quite a few
ridiculously
months ago.
Mancunian, wasn't it?
Yeah, you said that a
still
few
not got a
months
club.
ago.
Yeah. Left back, can play left back as well. I thought that was a bit of a no-brainer, so it's a weird one, him not having a club.
You know how in the past Man United have said, "Yeah, we're not getting any more players now in this window. Our business is over." They haven't said that yet, have they?
No, I think we will, but it's because you can sign them, can't you? Outside the window, the free transfers.
Exactly. So there could be some incomings, but
we can't buy them from another club. They can't switch registrations. I think that's kind of how it works on paper, isn't it? So I think if they've not got a club, you can pretty much sign them at any time.
Yeah, he would have been good because he can play left back and he can play centre back. Again, it's all about versatility. So that if you do get injuries, you've got a player who can play different positions and help you out.
What went back and looked at him, and it's decent. As I say, played a lot for Atletico. It's not like he was just someone who was a scrub who's on the bench all the time. He played 30 odd times last season.
And considering how big and tall he is, he's actually quite skillful as well.
Yeah, he's not he's not. He's what's the best way to say it? He's gangly, but he's still got control of his feet, Anna.
He's not a Maguire.
That's what I wanted to say, but I didn't want to sound like I was bashing Maguire. That was exactly what I wanted to say, so thank you for saying it.
Listen, right, I'm not ashamed to admit that I wanted Maguire when he was at Leicester and he was doing really well, because look, he was strong, great header, imposing, but for whatever reason it hasn't quite worked out like it should here.
I think his start was good. I don't think he put a foot wrong for a long time. But then there was that when he had that little run of bad form, they should have pulled him out the firing line. But they just played him and played him, and it got worse and worse. He should have just been taken out the firing line for a month.
How long do you think he stays there now?
I don't know. He's up when his contract's out next summer or the summer after.
I think it's this summer, you know.
Oh, yeah. I don't think he stays after that. I think his wages has always been the stalling point. I think he would have gone last season, definitely, but he's on too much. So it's a hell of a lot of money to walk away from putting a transfer request in.
Exactly, and that's why we can't have those kind of contracts anymore because it just traps us.
Oh, dude, it's stupid. Absolutely. And it's no good giving young players such big contracts. There as well, they should earn them. It's even if they sign a new contract every other year or every year, you don't give them the full whack straight off.
Yeah, because I think it takes the edge away. They think, oh, do you know what? I'm here for the foreseeable. Don't need to really work my ass off. Whereas you should be scared about your position every game. You should never, ever take your place for granted, ever.
I think that's why I like the kind of the young lads coming through the academy who've been there since they were very young. so the fans of the club, they want to succeed at the club. There's pride in them. It's more than a job to players like that, like McTominay as well. There's always more than a job to him, wasn't it, being a United player?
I think the longer you're here, the more you realise it's a family and you're loyal to it. But that's what annoyed me about Sancho is I don't think he's got any loyalty to us at all. Even though we stood by him when he had all his problems, mate. We stood by him, yeah. And, you know, he's happy to fuck off to Chelsea now.
Because he owed Ten Hag one after them letting him have all that time off. And he owed Ten Hag one and then just started like a little bitch over the... It was just such a nothing comment, wasn't it, that get it all off? But
yeah, because in my opinion, Pep Guardiola said worse things about Calvin Phillips. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm sure he said something like he's overweight or he's put on too much weight this summer or something like that.
It was literally, he said he didn't train the best this week. And we all know he's got form for not turning up on time, not grafting properly in training. I don't get, he must have had people, as I say, as we said before, he must have had people around him going, nah, bro, you're in the right. Because I don't see why it became such a big thing. But yeah, glad to see the back of him.
And what do you think about Xerxes then? Do you think he's going to be an important player for us this season?
I really do like the look of him. As I say, I've not seen a great deal of him, but he's a big lad. He's fast. He's kind of looks everything that should be. He's a little bit deeper in it, so he's not a line leader like Hoyland. So he's never. Well, he will play there at times, of course, as well needing. But yeah, he looks like he can play a bit, doesn't he? No, when he drops back. Yeah, good start for him. But so yeah, I think he's got to start tomorrow.
Let me just say hello to Casimir. Big up yourself, man. Just let us know, because I haven't been able to tell if you can hear us okay. Like if there's any distortion or anything like that, just let me know, Casimir. In terms of Xerxes, I reckon he's going to be a player who links it all up. He's going to be that player that you can rely on to take the ball, lay it off. You know, that's what we've needed. Bruno, because he's small and he's not that strong, he can't do that. He can't be the guy who gets the ball, holds off a player, waits for runners, and then Bruno gets rid of the ball as soon as he gets it because he knows that he cannot keep the ball because he's slight. Yeah, Xerxes is like a mountain, but with skill.
Yeah, he's one of them who can shrug a challenge off, innit?
And I don't think we overspent on him. I think that we can. He can do a good job for us, and we haven't overspent. I don't think we particularly overspent on anyone this summer, and that's down to Ineos. And it makes such a difference, doesn't it?
Sorry. I was going to say the fact that everyone's just used euros and everything. I think that proves that we've been okay. It's like all the big publications showing our who we've bought in euros just to make it look that little bit more expensive. I don't get it. But yeah, I think we've had a blinding summer. There's like outgoings, incomings. I think, yeah.
I think we haven't spoken about him yet, but Mazraoui, I think that was a bargain. I think already he's shown that he's an upgrade on our own Mufc because he's better on the ball, and I reckon he's going to provide quite a few assists if he settles down nicely.
Oh, definitely, because with Wan-Bissaka, I really did like him, but in when you've got periods of sustained possession, it genuinely became a hindrance when you've got a lot of the ball. But breaking and say he's one-on-one defending, you can't beat him. I think he'll do well at West Ham, but yeah, when you've got any kind of sustained possession, he was pretty useless. So I think that step up with Mazraoui, I think that's perfect there on that side. 50 million quid as well in today's market. It's yeah.
Of course it is. Of course it is. And it was just smart because you get rid of one, and then within hours or whatever, we got a replacement for him. The manager knows him. You know that he can trust him. He's played with him before. And like I said, going back to people moaning about the Dutch connection or players who played in Holland, look, if it wasn't for that, we might not even be able to get as many players as we have done. Yeah, it's that connection that has made it so we get De Ligt, so we get Xerxes, Malacia, all these players, Martinez. So I don't really see that as a negative. I don't understand it.
Same here. I'm in exactly the same boat on that one. They clearly love Erik ten Hag, these players. You've seen him with Martinez when they've won at Ajax, when we've won cups here. It's those players, it's like they're loyal to him. And they'll run through a brick wall for him, I think, some of them. So I think, I don't see, like I said before, you can never have too many Dutch players. And if we've got players that the manager knows what they're about, I think as terrible Anthony was last season, he will do what he's told. And it can be crap on the ball, but I think certainly in the first season, he was a big part of Wan-Bissaka and Dalot getting back on track because they both regressed as players in the previous 3 years. But I think Anthony doing his job on the right in front of them in the first season, again, this is our first season, he was shit last year, but that first season, I think if you buy him as a £30 million squad player, which he was up for at the beginning of the season, I think that's a blinding signing. But as an £80 million deadline day panic buy, dog shit. Yeah. So, yeah.
Exactly right. So if Ineos had bought him, like we said earlier, it would have been half the price. It would have been like a Xerxes kind of fee. You have half the pressure that way. And if you remember, Anthony, in his first season, he scored some clutch goals against the big teams like Barcelona, Man City.
The goal against City, his first goal against Arsenal, it was so important to the structure. I remember that the Ajax kid on Twitter, he said he will, like he said, didn't he? He said he'll never be prolific, but he's so important to the way they play.
He's another one who basically social media want to destroy him. So I always support these players, right? Because I'm like, I don't like people getting destroyed. They're a human being. They don't want to play badly. They want to do. You can tell when he scores a goal, Anthony, that it means a lot to him. You can tell that. You know what I mean?
I think as well, like we were saying, but with the connection, I think he will. I think he will turn it round. I'll stick my neck out and say that. I think he'll turn it round because there's a player in there. We saw that in the first season. Because we've seen second season syndrome a million times, haven't we? Player bursts onto the scene, great first season, loses his way second season. I think it might be one of the worst cases of it that's ever occurred. But he had all that that crap going on in his personal life as well, didn't he?
Exactly. And last year, most of our players were crap. So we shouldn't really be singling out anyone because most of our team was crap last year.
Yeah, I don't think, especially a player like Ant who's more kind of someone who allows the better players to play by kind of moving the ball at the pitch, by keeping hold of the ball in tight situations and then laying it off. When the team's not there around him, they become useless, players like that. And I think that's probably best why we didn't play Diallo earlier on, because I think he would have just got absolutely left out of games at times earlier in the season. But kind of when he was back and fit and when we had more players back in, I think that was the perfect time to bring him through. You had idiots talking about a fucking agenda not playing him. You know, they played him at the right time and it fucking works. What's the problem?
I think we're all right on the right wing. I think we've got like decent players there. It's the left wing that concerns me because Rashford is so off form, mate. Obviously, we sold Sancho now, who would have been a left winger. So to me, it's the left wing that is a big problem, and I don't know how we're going to get over it apart from Rashford actually scoring a goal and getting back in some kind of rhythm, mate.
I think the big thing, he's not got a left-footed left back. So, like all his best footballs come when Luke Shaw's been there outside him, and to a lesser extent when Malacia played. But he needs that outlet with a left foot because otherwise they're both just looking to turn in. If you play a right footer there, and that's no good for anything. You need that overlap. You need that extra option in front of him. So it either takes a man away from him, or he's played in by him.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a massive fan of inverted wingers because it means that they don't cross as much and they're just looking to shoot all the time.
Yeah, I like a right footer on the right, a left footer on the left.
Well, this is it. We grew up with Beckham and Giggs, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And they weren't cutting in and shooting on, on the inside. They were crossing it into the box, which is that's what football is, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think with the quality of the players we've got, I think we should be at times switching them all game. So the opposition back four doesn't have a clue what they're gonna face. Are they going to be looking to cut inside, or are they going to be looking to go on the outside and swing across in? So I think with the players we've got, that's a really good option to have. You just switch it during the game.
I think the best ones to switch would be Rashford and Garnacho. Rashford can obviously play on the right because he's right-footed.
Yep.
But playing Ahmad and Anthony on the left, I just don't know. I don't know if that's going to work. They're so like direct and wanting to shoot
I think
that I don't think they can do it.
I've never seen. Well, there was the odd person shouting for Anthony to be given a run at left back. I think, to be honest, he might actually be able to do it because he was tactically sound as fuck. Again, this is our first season. When they talk about Anthony and it's not anything remotely positive about him, this is going to be the first season in it. But I think the player that's there, it's just swinging a crossing instead of having a shot. Every time you get that yard to push the ball inside and whack it.
One thing I say about Anthony also is that if you compare him to Rashford and Sancho, defensively, he does a lot more than them. A lot more. Yeah. I can't remember Sancho sort of defending hardly ever, mate. He hasn't got the speed to get back and bloody defend when we lose the ball anyway.
I always get a little bit wound up when I see him listed as a forward because he's a proper winger. Like what we grew up referring to as wingers is someone who covers his fullback and does the whole of the side of the pitch. I think that's what he is. He's an inverted one, which is weird. But I always get he's not a forward though. He's not a forward though. He's so much further back with him.
And what are your thoughts on Højlund? Do you think Do you think he can be like a proper striker for us? Do you think that he's got a problem with injuries? Do you think he? I think we paid too much for him, but again, I'm not going to put that down to Ineos because they weren't here. That's another Glazer fuck up. Yeah, I think we overpaid for him, but I still think there's a player there. If he'd fit,
he had a belt in first season. If right at that age, if you're scoring around 1 in 3, that's fucking amazing. Some of the very best strikers that have ever lived hadn't quite got to 1 in 3 at that age, and he made a difference when he played. So yeah, I think there's nothing but success coming with that lad. I think I really like him.
do you think he could ever play on like a right wing forward?
No, I think you should be just playing him down the middle. I think that's. I don't know if he's whether he's played there, whether he played there in Italy, whether he played there. Is he Norwegian or Danish? Brain's not working.
Danish.
Yeah, when he's playing in Denmark. Yeah, I think he should just be played straight down the middle. Maybe if we're kind of getting into a system and it's all clicking, like when we had Saha, Rooney, and Ronaldo, and they basically just switch and mix and match, and through the game they'd all pop up in one of the positions. It was just whatever the situation called for, wasn't it? So maybe one day, but I think certainly at the moment we should just straight down the middle. He should be leading the line and playing down the middle.
Do you think he's fox in the box? Do you think he's gonna get goals from headers, from crosses, and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, I think he's one of them. All bouncing off anything. He hit the woodwork a lot last season as well, didn't he? So that's inches, that's centimeters away from goals. I think he's as rounded as a striker you're going to get at that age. Who's available to buy as well? Because that's. I didn't really want to touch on it, but I think that's what, with me, hurt so much about Greenwood. Because I think he was on his way to becoming one of the most complete strikers you'd see. His left foot, right foot, he was starting to kind of fill out, and they were bulking him out. He was keeping his pace, and he's decent in the air as well. So yeah, I think with Højlund, I think down the middle in the box, he'll pick up. I think he's as good as there is available to buy out there. I think we've done well with him. I think he will do well.
Any player that is equally good with their left and right foot is going to go to the top. I always think of people like Figo. You know.
Yeah, say with Figo, it's genuinely you've not got a clue which way you're going to go. As a defender, it's not pushing them onto the weak foot when they've not got a weak foot. Oh man, it's horrible to play against.
Will you do me a favour, because Casimir said there's a bit of crackling, and I don't know if it's when I speak, my voice is coming out your side.
It sounds fine. I don't know. It sounds fine on my end, so I'm not sure.
Have you got the bit in front of you, the StreamYard in front of you, where it says mic and cam?
Yeah.
Right. So if this is what I do. When you talk, I mute, and then if I talk, if you mute, and just see if that helps. Will you try that for me?
Right. So do press mic.
Right. Let me see if that. See, yeah, I can't hear any feedback now.
Right.
But now
so
I
yeah.
can.
So right. So when you talk, I should press the mic thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice one, mate. Yeah. So what was I saying? So if I had to predict the score, I think we're going to beat them. I think the fact that we lost to Brighton and there's been a lot of scrutiny on us, I think that can only count in our favour, because it will give us more to sort of motivate us. So I can see this being like a 3-1. I really can. I don't think it's going to be cagey. I think we really want to win, and they'll want to win because it's their first derby with their new manager.
Yeah, if I was going to, if someone forced me to give a score, yeah, I'd say 3-1 as well. There's no kind of, I don't feel any doom and gloom about it. With it being so early in the season as well. They've not had a chance to get into a rhythm, but same way as we've not, I think we'll click one game, won't we? So after, as you say, after the defeat by Brighton, I think we'll be looking to bounce back against that, and it's the perfect team to do that against.
So let's say we're both wrong and we end up losing, I don't know, 4-0, and the media have an absolute blast at us. Do you think that puts massive pressure on Ten Hag, or do you think whatever happens that he will make it through to just before January, and then they might get rid of him before January so that the new manager, whoever it is there before January?
Personally, I really can't see that happening. With the gave he's proven if he's got his players fit and he's got a first team to choose from, we will win things. So yeah, I don't see it not working out. I honestly don't.
And what do you think about the Europa League draw? Have you seen the teams that we've been drawn against?
Is it Rangers, Fenerbahce, and
Porto's one.
Porto?
They're all winnable games, but then we would have said that when we were playing against Copenhagen and all that lot.
Yeah, as I say, Rangers, they'll always try and turn it on when they play an English team, and especially us as well, won't they? I'm not looking forward to them coming back to Manchester. But I think it's there for the taking, isn't it? Certainly, because I still don't think this squad's quite ready for the Champions League. We maybe need another player or two. So I think, but the Europa, I think we can do it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we're not at the level to do Champions League. I think that requires the whole team to be very confident, understanding what each player does, and we're literally in the middle of a rebuild. So Europa League is achievable, and I think probably it's more manageable to win that than it is to get top four, because I would say Man City, Arsenal is guaranteed in the top four, and then you just got two others, so it could be us and then one more, but it just depends, isn't it? Like, who knows what's happening with Chelsea?
I think I don't know. I'm with United. I'm a born optimist. So I think we'll get top four. I think again. I don't think the team's anywhere near the level to be fighting for the league yet. So I'm not going to get upset about us not challenging for the league. But I think we'll probably scrape. I think we'll probably scrape in fourth. A bit of a pain doing the Thursday Sunday. But if the players kind of get into a bit of a routine with that, it's not the worst thing in the world. But I think we'll do okay. But as I say, I'm a born optimist with it. It's I think everything's going to come right with the players there. It's we've nearly got rid of like Ralph Ragnick said. It needed open heart surgery. We needed wholesale players shifting, and they needed replacing, and they needed replacing with the right players, and then getting the backups for the right players.
Put it this way, right? If we go back, I don't know, just before, just when any of us get here, and you say to me, we're going to sign a defender, a young defender that Real Madrid want. We're going to sign a player who's played for Juventus, Ajax, and Bayern as centre back. We're going to get rid of a lot of players who the club don't think are really at that level, like McTominay, like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Van der Beek. And if you knew that we're going to make like 120 mil from sales, you'd bite their hands off. I think it's been insane, to be honest.
I agree wholeheartedly. As we said, best window since we lost Fergie and Gill. It's needed doing so many summers, and they've done it at the first crack. I'm really impressed by it, and I think we'll probably add a forward in January if the right one's available. I don't know if it'll be another loan to kind of take a little bit of pressure off Xerxes and Hoyland, but we'll see how the season goes. But I wouldn't be surprised if we had a forward in January. We'll see how Shaw and Malacia get back on as well, because if not, I think then definitely we need to buy a left back. I think it's a bit too much for Amos at this age. So we'll see how them two come back from the latest injuries and then go from there.
In terms of striker, I think we're at a point in football where there aren't that many top-notch ones, mate, to be honest with you. I think you got Osman, who on his day can be good, but is he worth over 100 mil? I'm not too sure. Tony's all right. He's all right. He's not world class, in my opinion. He can do a job. And then apart from that, what else is there that is actually attainable? I think the only one that I would sort of look to would be, Vlahovic of Juventus, because he just looks like a skillful striker who can sort of score different types of goals. I don't really think there's that many good strikers nowadays, mate. I don't know about you.
No, I think that's kind of been ruined by the everyone playing with inside forwards on the wrong side. As there's no crosses being swung in, is there really? So, yeah, I think it's going to be a case of buying that young player and developing them into what we want. So I think Hoyland's already starting to look good. In that film, I wouldn't. I know I'm probably going to sound a bit stupid here. I wouldn't be gutted if Weghorst came back for another 6 months, just to take the pressure off and just to be another option coming off the bench.
I understand the logic behind it, but whenever people say that, I always think of Henrik Larsson, and he would be the perfect kind of player for me because out and out striker, decent on the ball. I think Weghorst is like levels below that. But again, because like we just said, there's really not that many options. So I just think we need to keep Hoyland fit. I don't know if Xerxes can be an out and out striker. I don't know if he is more of a player who likes to play outside the box and connect to the play. Rashford should be able to play up front. He played there many a time in the last couple of years and scored a decent amount of goals. So, again, we shouldn't count out that he could do that. It may be worth throwing him in there just to get a bloody goal, mate, to be honest.
Yeah, I think as well with Xerxes, when you play him, you've got Garnacho, Diallo, Rashford running ahead of him. So they kind of become your strikers in a way, don't they? If we play Xerxes and you play two wide players with Hoyland, the players are there to kind of make chances for him. But when you play Xerxes, those players will be running ahead of him and cutting in at times. So it's two different ways of playing. But I think Rashford, with that, like you said, I think one goal, I think, might set him on a run.
I personally think that he's very close to Sancho. I think all this fallout has adversely affected him. I'm not giving him an excuse. I'm just stating facts. I think if one of your best friends is sort of complaining, saying, I hate this club, I hate the manager, it's going to affect you in some kind of way. I think maybe now Sancho's gone, that could actually help Rashford.
I know it's like a completely different world, but yeah, I've had that when you've got a manager who you don't like, And certainly, if you're working with your mates, that's all you talk about sometimes at one point. How pissed off you are, how you don't like what's going on. Oh, it's fucking either selling trainers or kind of working at the university. I know it's a completely different world, but in terms of just kind of your mental health and everything that goes on around it, if all the conversations you're having are negative, that becomes part of you. That's has a knock-on effect.
All you got to do, right, is look at the PR, right? So the PR of Sterling coming to United, there were so many content creators saying, I don't want him, he's rubbish. But then in the same breath saying, but if he goes to Arsenal, he'll do a job. If he's good enough for Arsenal, he's good enough for us, because Arsenal have got closer to winning the league than we have in a long time, right? So I just don't get it. Why what we've got at United is we've got too much football snobbery, yeah, where we think that we shouldn't buy XYZ player because we're better than that. It doesn't work like that, yeah. It's about how effective they are for the team. They can cost 100 million or 10 million and they could still make the same level of impact. So I hate this football snobbery, mate.
Yeah, I think kind of the online side that's come with it's completely different to what we look with. And there's so many kind of people who clearly aren't watching full games and they're not watching the players properly. And everything comes from highlights and stats. And that's all some people judge it on. And so certainly kind of with Sancho, he got his bonkers. And they'll use like Dortmund footage or like the odd games he's done well for United, but that's not Sancho as a player. Sancho as a player is lazy, disinterested, at times overweight, at times had not in it. That was the Sancho we saw. We didn't see highlight Sancho, so him going again, I think, yeah.
And this, you got this other phenomenon of like people saying, all right, well, if X, Y, and Z player leaves, then yeah, I'm not gonna watch any more Man United games, mate. The whole point of why we haven't succeeded is because we've been more concerned about the players than the club, right? So your loyalty should be to the club, not the players. Yeah, especially when the player in question doesn't care about you and would want to go to a direct rival like Chelsea, because at the end of the day, right, Chelsea are going to compete for top four with us. Simple as that. So the fact that he would rather go there than try and look, at the end of the day, bro, if you're a good player, prove it. Prove it. Yeah? Don't spit your dummy out and go, oh, I can't take this, I'm not in the squad. We have pulled out better players than Sancho out of the squad under Fergie, and they still turned their career around.
Yeah, it didn't have the stones for United. I think it's too much. It's I think probably because when he went over to Dortmund, it was just him and I don't know if it was just him and his dad, but I know his dad was over there with him. So you kind of living a different life. You're going to training, you're coming home, maybe going out and doing bits and bobs shopping, but with your old man. But coming back to England, he's going to have mates around dinner. I think it'll be even worse because he's going back to London. I think we'll probably see him just crumble as a player. I think we'll end up I wouldn't be surprised if his career kind of went like Dele Alli's was. I think he's going to end up in exactly the wrong position. I think it's Dortmund was the perfect environment for him. It keeps you away from negative influences. He came to Manchester, and I think you've got that to a lesser extent. But then when you go down to London, he's back in the mix, isn't he?
How long do you reckon it will be before they show some pictures of him in some London nightclub? I reckon it will be like within weeks, mate. I'm telling you right now.
Easily. Have my guy fucking chugging on a balloon somewhere in a fucking nightclub. Give it 2-3 weeks.
like I said, because they're millionaires, they think they're not above the law, but they think that they can do what they want. They got no consequences. If they don't play, doesn't matter. I'm still taking my 300k a week for doing nothing. They should
That is
feel guilty. They should feel guilty and ashamed of that, mate.
completely. And if they've surrounded themselves with yes men and people who are and mates who aren't going to pull them on the shit and say, "Come on, now, you're being a dickhead, sort it out." If you've just got people who are just going to sit there because they're being sorted out, they're either living with you or he's sorting you out though, so you don't have to work. Those people are just going to say, "Yes, Jaden, you're right, Jaden. They're wrong, Jaden," and that's no fucking good. Just as a human being, not just as a footballer. You need people to pull you on your shit. And fucking Ten Hag tried it once, and he fucking cried. And I would not be surprised if that's what missed that penalty on purpose. 100%. His head had gone. He didn't want to be at the club anymore. We all knew that. So he got the chance to take a penalty and fucking missed the thing. Good riddance to him.
It reminds me of Paul Gascoigne, right? One of the best players that England's ever produced, but I guarantee, well, Jimmy Five Baddies was one of them, surrounded by complete scumbags, had taken advantage of him, probably leeching money off him, getting him on drugs, getting themselves on drugs, drinking too much. It's just, these are millionaires and they're actually quite vulnerable because at the end of the day, they're just normal people like you and me who are now getting paid way too much, way too much. Should never, ever be getting paid that much money. These people aren't saving lives. They're not pulling people out of burning buildings. They're kicking a ball. And as much as you and I love football, we know that it's just a hobby. It's just a sport. To them, it's profession. But they do not deserve £300,000 a week. Get out of here.
I agree with everything you said there. There's nothing else I can really add to that. They're just lucky to be doing it at this time. There's how many footballers finished the career back in the day. You were kind of done by 32, 33. You get your testimonial, or you get your payout, or you get your little bit. How many of them fucking opened a pub and have gone bankrupt fucking 6 years later? And now they're scratching around. Although a lot of them, because of social media and nostalgia, and all players, like the old players circuit, isn't there? So kind of, you've got that now. But there's so much money, I think, in the game. Oh, but it's one of, I think it's one of the few professions where the workers actually get the lion's share of the money that's made, rather than it staying further up and staying with the bosses. It's the workers, the people, because they are basically on the shop floor, aren't they, of their profession. They're the forward-facing ones. They're the ones who are doing the graft. So it's weird. It is too much. It's too much for any human being. You have to be a special person for that not to change you as a human being. It's so much money that there's nothing you can't do, really, can there, with the amount of money they're making.
And what's weird is that if they can be afforded, if the clubs can afford to pay them that much money, it just shows you how much money they are actually making and how much money football makes, because you're not going to pay these players this amount of money unless you can actually do it. So that just blows my head thinking of that. But yeah, I think what Ineos are doing now, they're trying to reduce the wages. We haven't even spoke about the two youngsters, right? So Obi Martin from Arsenal and Kone, the player who international player for Mali. They are the perfect kind of buyers that I like. You can see already they're skillful. They're only young, and they could be here for the next 10 years. And that's the kind of signing that I absolutely love, mate.
Oh, yeah. Getting to see players like that. And when they do come into the youth team or the under-23s, and you can get a chance to go and watch them, that's the best thing about football. I say I was lucky. I live in North Manchester, so all it was like I jump on the bus, like not even a quid for me to get to Gig Lane to watch our reserves. While I was watching Butt, Neville's, David Beckham, David Johnson. God, even back then, who did I throw? Brain stopped working. Ben Thornley, John O'Kane, Pat McGibbon, Ronnie Walworth. And so, some of them, it works out, and some of them went all the way. Some of them didn't. And you always like to kind of keep a track of them careers. But it's such, for me, again, that's what football's about. I admit I'm very lucky to be in the position, even just geographically, and then being able to get tickets as a kid. I know how lucky I am to be in that position. But it's that's what people should be doing. It's as much as the first team, it's everything else around it. And if you can get into that, I think that's what it's about. It's not just about switching the telly on, watching the first team once a week and doing that. But if don't get a new TV, there'll be a stream somewhere. Watch the kids if you can, and it's and you can have a proper opinion on these players before they can come through. And if you call it, it's a nice feeling as well. Go, look, I was right about that one when they come through. But yeah, and they look mustard as well. So I think if they'll both, I think they'll both be going into the under-23s or the youth team. So it'll be good to see them grow.
Well, on that topic, I've been watching the highlights of the youngsters, and not the last game, the game before when they played against Burnley and they came back. The last 2 goals that United scored were kind of goals that youngsters score. They're not scared. They do what they go by instinct. They don't go, oh, should I do this? Should I do this? Is this the right thing to do? They just do it. And because of that, you get raw, instinctive football, and you get like world-class goals, mate, like bangers. And to be honest with you, what I don't like about football at the moment is you don't tend to see that many world-class goals, like bangers from long distance. You just don't. And when you and I were growing up, you saw them every week, people blasting it. Like, you had Gerrard, you had Scholes, you had Lampard scoring 30-yard. You know what I mean? Nowadays, it's very rare, these kind of goals.
Yeah, man. Crying out for a Tony Yeboah, aren't we? But I think that's just what football's become. It's risk adverse. It's little passes. It's slowly moving up the pitch. And especially what we grew up on. There's lots of counter-attacking football. It's possession football as well, but it's the counter-attacking, isn't it? That's what gets you out of the seat. I don't like the tiki-taka. There's never, well, I hated fucking playing Barcelona and watching them run it through us, but I see why it's successful. But for me, aesthetically, I ain't keen on it. So I think, because we've got that type of football and it's all about moving it in. You don't get that kind of flashpoint and someone smashing it, or it's moving up the pitch so quickly, then a cross being swung in and someone flying in on the end of it. You don't really see that much anymore, do you?
There was a point versus Brighton where the midfield was so congested, the actual football being played was atrocious. You couldn't go forward. You had to go back. You had to go sideways, back, sideways, back, sideways. I don't want to watch that. I want people are moaning about end-to-end football, mate. I like end-to-end football because what that means is both teams are trying to attack. They're not trying to be so defensive. Yeah. So I don't mind going from end to end. I don't mind that. What I don't like is congested midfields where no one makes any progress and it's just like boring. I can't stand that.
Yeah, agree wholeheartedly. I think with the way we're looking to play, and I think it's probably, if you want to see the way we're looking to play, is looking at the younger teams, because the structure's being put in for everyone to be playing the same football, like they do at Ajax, isn't it? So that's what about. It's about kind of high turnovers, winning the ball back high up the pitch, and then hopefully within 1 or 2 moves, a goal being scored. It's about kind of soaking up pressure as well, and then hitting them on the break. So I think hopefully when it comes through, I know people are moaning about Ten Hag not implementing a style, but you can't implement a style when you've not got players capable of it. And then last season, a lot of the players who are remotely capable of it were injured. So again, that was just another complete write-off. So hopefully, we'll start seeing it in the coming weeks.
I think what you see at the moment is little passages of good football here and there, where you go, do you know what? I like that. That looks good. We're moving the ball nicely, trying to draw the players out. But at the moment, it's very sporadic. It's only in parts. And a lot of that is because, look, like it has been for decades, anyone who plays against United, they raise their game. They want to upset Man United. They want to have a victorious day against Man United. So every single team that we play does their best against us. Now, if you compare that to City, I don't see the same teams putting as much effort as they do against us, against City. It's almost like they let City do what they want. We're not going to beat them. We'll roll over for them, try and keep the score down a bit. But yeah, we're not going to make too much effort. We'll just wait to the next game where we can probably win that game.
Well, yeah, we've ruined that many fucking childhoods for so long, didn't we? There's just people are still fucking bitter about that. And Manchester United will always be the biggest scalp, even though we've been largely shit for 10 years. We're still the biggest scalp. We're still the first team people. Look at dickhead Liam Gallagher. Sorry about the things that they like. We were the reason he moved to London. Well, fucking's not you. Fucking weren't a proper man. Didn't fucking go football to start with anyway. And your ticketing is a fucking shambles. I don't know why I've gone on that tangent, to be honest.
Anytime someone wants to disrespect Oasis, I will let them go for it because I can't stand him. I've never been one of these people who likes Oasis, and it's nothing to do with Man City. I just don't. I never really like. We've spoken about hip hop before, right? I prefer hip hop stuff like that. I don't like songs that every fucker in the world knows all the words to, like some drunk going down the street singing a song. I don't like that. I like sort of rare music that not everyone's heard, but sort of resonates with you. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, well, yeah, it's good. Well, I was probably at my most pretentious around kind of 18 when like everyone would have been listening to Oasis. It's like kind of like French hip hop and Cyan Supercrew and the MC Solar and bits like that. But all I've ever listened to is hip hop, really, from kind of like 12 onwards, kind of Snoop, 36 Chambers, and Cypress Hill. So kind of after that, that's all I listen to now. Still cracking rap music being made, no matter what people say. I do think the new Eminem stuff's fucking garbage as well, to be honest.
Mate, hip hop is not what it used to be. But yeah, when you said MC Solar, that reminded me. Yeah, I remember when I went on holiday with my parents, went into the supermarket, bought one of his albums called Le Nouveau Western. Some decent beats on there. The thing about French hip hop is it's decent. They're a massive country. They got a lot of good music that they can sample. So yeah, I'm definitely down with French hip hop. I still listen to it now. But yeah, basically hip hop and music in general is like football now. It's very commercial, very watered down. Yeah, I'm not really a fan.
Well, as I say, bits there, and so certainly kind of be talking MC Solar as well. They like the intro to Lahane. Is it Raz the Bulldog where he uses fucking thingy by the Beatles, and that's just fucking genius. But yeah, it's the same with the football analogy. It's like having to drop down and watch the kind of lower divisions or watch non-league football. If you've got to find the good stuff, the money's not there in it, but the kind of the artistry is. Kind of like West Side Gun. I like Corday and at Anderson .Paak when he decides kind of to rap, all that kind of that side. What does I say? The Kendricks. Kendrick, but kind of the periphery. Around like that kind of schoolboy Q I love. God rest his soul, Mac Miller. He was always not just loved him, but finding other artists because of him, either people he's put on or just people he's talked about. It's yeah, I think, to be honest, I think Mac Miller. He was probably the last time kind of like Eminem was that to me as a teenager, kind of early 20s. I think Childish Gambino was a little bit for that, but then when kind of Mac Miller settled into kind of the rhythm of who he was, fuck man, he was so good. He was so good, and I'm still gutted about it. Fucking, say like kind of good news flicks on kind of on the playlist at the wrong time. I have to turn it off, to say the truth.
I haven't listened to Eminem for a while now because, unfortunately, like most artists, once they get really big, their style gets compromised. But I'll never forget the first time I heard him. I didn't even realize he was white. He sounded so effortlessly at spitting. I didn't even know he was white. And it was obviously it was My Name Is Slim Shady, but the verse when he starts talking about, I don't know which Spice Girl I want to impregnate, I'm like, who is this guy? This guy is just saying like the funniest shit. So yeah, I'll always remember when I first heard Eminem.
Yeah, well, I remember buying the single from Woolworths in Cheetham Hill. Got the single and then paid for an import on the first album, because what we used to do when I worked in Size on Market Street, we're all kind of trained, we're all sneakerheads, we're all hip hop heads. So Monday morning, we take it in terms of buying a CD, and then we play it in the shop and we play it downstairs, and then goes that. But yeah, Eminem was like the guy at that time. But it's then like all the other stuff coming out around it, and found some. Don't get me wrong, we bought some absolutely atrocious fucking music, just because it was the new one out that week, the new one in the hip hop. So it's like fucking, oh god, brains stopped working a second. Brains, oh, what's he fucking called? Master P's little brother. Why is my brain not working?
Silk something maybe, I don't know.
Silk the Shocker. Silk the fucking Shocker. Right, there's one tune on it though with Mystical that's fucking brilliant, but the rest of the album, it's like a human. He's trying to fucking dodge the beat the whole time. Does he get it? But I think C Murder was the rapper in the family, but he's in prison for murder. But and then like kind of the beginning of Cash Money with say kind of Juvenile and BG, and then Lil Wayne. It took me a long while to get into Lil Wayne, and that wasn't until kind of I've got a mate who raps, and it was him. He basically bullied me into it. He's like, "Going, why don't you like him?" I'm going, "I just don't like him." And it took a long while for it to click with me and Wayne. But then I can go back and listen to everything now by him.
I'm very fussy about my hip hop, like, because it's no different to Man United, right? The reason why I don't like Bruno that much is because I grew up with Cantona, Keane, Beckham, Rooney being captains, and the same reason I won't take like any sort of weak hip hop is because I grew up with like Eric B and Rakim, De La Soul, Wu-Tang Clan, EPMD, even House of Pain, Cypress Hill, like you said. I'm used to that. So anything that isn't to that standard, I can't be bothered. I would rather listen to an old album that I've heard 50 times than some new shit that I don't really like, you know?
Completely. I just like to say this second to fucking, why the fuck isn't Redman seen as more than he is? Because he's been fucking brilliant from day one. Because you saying EPMD, that got me back onto that. But yeah, Redman, Jesus fucking Christ, that's what I'm going to spend the rest of the night doing. Going back and listening to Redman, I think. And
He's got a
put
lot
the
of
fucking
albums,
perfect name as well in it for Reggie Noble.
Yeah, man. You had Eric Sermon, obviously, who's a producer and made most of Redman's beat. Um, it depresses me, man. I honestly wish I could go back in time now. I do.
Oh, Brick Squad, innit? Yeah, Brick Squad.
Busta Rhymes right at the start of his career. Tracks like "Gimme Some More," bangers, absolute bangers.
Well, yeah, that run when he was in leaders of the new school as well. Although I didn't get onto them until kind of I'm not saying I was listening to leaders at the new school of the leaders of the new school at the time. Of course, I've listened to them on not De La Soul, fucking Q-Tip. Oh, brain's not working again.
Tribe Called Quest.
Tribe Called Quest. Fucking hell, my brain, man. But yeah, that Buster run, that was like kind of like part of when it's like, because I think all we had really was like MTV based, didn't we? So it's kind of getting off that and then doing that. But yeah, early Buster, I think got the first 4 albums, and then kind of I even bought the best of. Don't know why I bought the best of, because I got all the other albums there on it. But yeah, early Buster is just fucking amazing.
What about do me a favor and press mute again, mate? What about you get a tape, right? You put BBC Radio on, Tim Westwood comes on, and he drops the first time you ever heard Shook Ones by Mobb Deep. And he keeps repeating it. He keeps repeating, going back to the start. And you're like, what is this? This is amazing. And now, all this time still, people still listen to it as a banger, you know? It's crazy, man.
Yeah. Especially with Shook Ones, the way they use the clicking of a stove for the is it hi-hat or is it whatever? But yeah, Friday night, wasn't it? Friday night, listen to Westwood, have your tapes ready, tape a lot, and then even like kind of go back and I tried to put out like a mini disc as well, through there. But yeah, because it's Westwood Friday night, we had MTV Base, or before MTV Base there was Yo Raps on like a Wednesday night. I think Yo Raps was one it. Then Goldfinger afterwards as well. So I always kind of got to keep up with a little bit of the dancehall and reggae, basically because of my mates and whatnot. So you can have an opinion on that stuff back in the day.
Let me just say hello to Johan. You're right, brother. Yeah, man. I've had this channel for a while. I got annoyed in the last few days hearing the doom and gloom merchants. So I just wanted to start doing some streams so I get to talk about what I want to talk about. Invited my mate Crumps on because we agree with a lot of stuff. We've been United fans for decades now. We're not doom and gloom merchants. We want to see the best. We don't want any of our players to fail. We don't want Anthony to fail. We don't want Mason Mount to fail. We want all our players to do well. We've got no agendas. All we want is the best for this club. We obviously want managers to stay as long as possible. We don't want to be sacking managers like we're bloody Chelsea. Sometimes it's going to happen, unfortunately. But yeah, we're not doom and gloom merchants. Would you agree with that, bro?
We couldn't have said it any better myself, mate. It's the first time I've done anything like this as well, but I've thoroughly enjoyed it so far, and it's nice having a conversation about United where it isn't doom and gloom, because that's what makes like these big channels done it. And the person who doesn't like me because I know he's past, Brent, and their channels, that's what gets clicks. And I hate seeing it. I don't watch it. I don't bother with them. I like the Stretford Paddock lads, like that, and then kind of like the United We Stand podcasts. That's all I'll kind of really listen to, because I just don't want to see it. I don't want to see players being attacked. I don't want to see our players being turned into memes. I want to watch good football. I want to have a laugh. There's enough shit going on. It's why would you want to bring fucking just negativity into this space?
Exactly right. And this is why I had to make this stream today, because we've just had one of the best windows that United has seen. We've got rid of a lot of players and made a decent amount, over 120 mil on those outgoings. We have brought in players, 5 players who are going to start. That's half a team. We've bought 2 or 3 youngsters who could be here for the next 10 years. We have done so much good. I say we, Ineos, have done so much good in just a couple of months. And for people to then turn around and say, because one of their favourite players, Sancho, has decided to leave us and go to Chelsea, that now the window is a failure. How? How can one thing make every other good thing a disaster? How is that even possible? It's just stupid. Yeah. Just look at the positives, because the positives outweigh the so-called negatives, right? It's as simple as that. If this was the Glazers, we wouldn't have done half of what we've done this year. Half.
Oh, if the Glazers were still in control, say we still kind of need rid of them, so hopefully we'll be getting a bit of a hostile takeover at some point from Ineos. But yeah, if the Glazers are still here, for me, Sancho would be starting tomorrow and stinking the place out. We wouldn't have bought the players and we bought. We probably would have bought. I think Rabiot would have been the first signing because he's free. And we wouldn't have shifted players that needed shifted, and we wouldn't have addressed positions that needed addressing, because it's like the DM thing. After like Carrick retired, and then after Matic, it's his first season, we've needed a fucking number 6, and it just never got done, did it? So I probably we wouldn't have got you guy. We wouldn't have looked at him, and would I think kind of, if the Glazers had full control, I think Ten Hag would have been sacked. And then I think we've got the players that came through. I think they start looking around, and with Martinez, kind of how much his stock's gone up in the footballing world since he's come to United. I don't think you end up keeping on to them players if Ten Hag goes, and you don't attract the players that he's attracted.
I want to talk about Malacia. So before he got injured, the games that he did play, I thought, we've got a player here. He reminded me of Rob because he's small, but he's determined, he's agile, and he's strong, and he puts everything into it. Yeah. So if we can get this guy back and he starts settling in, again, he could be our left back for the next 10 years. But what we've got is fan bases who will probably put too much pressure on him, say he's a waste of money, he's a crock, he's never going to make it, blah, 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 blah. Let's support him. Let's see what he can do, because before he got injured, to me, he looked like a decent player, mate.
I agree again on this. It looked like we got a proper bargain with him, didn't it? And it's been unlucky with injuries. It can happen to anyone. But being, I think, kind of, as I saw the other day, he's on grass. He's training with a ball. So that's. But I think the fact that we've not bought a left back as well, because if Malacia is a long way away from being fit, and Luke Shaw got injured again, and that's looking. He's not going to be back anytime soon. That's a hole that gets filled. So I think we've not bought anyone because they are looking at Shaw being back within kind of the next month or so, hopefully. And then Malacia being up there and ready. And then I think if them two are back, that's when you can start kind of introducing Hamas slowly, because it's a hell of a lot of pressure to put on a young kid if there's no other option to him. But certainly playing in Europe, I think we wouldn't be surprised if he got minutes, because he looked really good in the summer, didn't
he? From the limited time that I've seen of Hamas, I think he's skillful, agile. He's got a good pass on him, but he needs to fill out a bit more. He's only a youngster. Get a bit more bulk on him. Keep grafting, and I'm sure a couple of years down the line he could, play even more for us. But in regards to Shaw, On his day, very good. On his day, very good. But I don't. At the moment, I've got no faith in him. For the simple fact that since he injured himself with that horrific double leg break, that's gonna physically and mentally affect you. So imagine I've never broken any limbs, right? But I would imagine that if you've had an injury like that, it's on your mind constantly, constantly. So you're thinking, if I go into this tackle full hired, I might I might be in trouble here. So I don't know if mentally he was ever going to be the same player again. I don't know what you think about that.
Oh, bro, this is like my fucking specialist subject. I've got like Potts fracture. I've broken both ankles, so like kind of broken both bones and dislocated the ankle at the same time. It's happened on both legs. Left leg, I got battered and stamped on, and that one happened that way. And right leg, I went over on my ankle earlier in the week, and I think I must have cracked it then or something. But I was literally taking the dog a walk. I was walking down a little bit of an incline, and I slipped, and I watched it break. If I wouldn't have been wearing kind of my big Jordan 5s, I think I would have been kind of stuck with bones protruding out the skin. But yeah, that's kind of my specialist subject: broken ankles, broken legs, and it does. And I can't even play 5-a-side now. I can't do anything. Kind of in that, because it's one ankle you can kind of go with, but having them both, yeah, I'm knackered. I can't do out, and it's on your mind anyhow after kind of breaks like that, because it can always happen again, and because it changes the way you walk, that leaves you open to more injuries. Because I kind of have lower back problems because it just fundamentally changes the way you walk. But if I think the only way you can kind of get around that is by using kind of corrective insoles, which is kind of my other specialist subject, because that's what I used to do. It's what I used to teach at Salford Uni, part of the course, which is bespoke orthotics, which can make never bothered making any for myself because I'm an idiot and I'm lazy. But yeah, broken ankles, it's a fuck up. It changes the way you walk, changes the way he runs, so it will leave him open to more injuries. And I think we've seen that, haven't we?
What I like about Shaw is when he plays centre back. I like that. I think he looks good there, and I think he's safer there. Right, as a left back, you're playing against some of the fastest players on the opposition, so you're more likely to go into a slide tackle. Right, if you're playing at centre back, hopefully you've read the ball, you head it out. I don't know, you intercept it, whatever. So I like seeing him at centre back, so he can be good cover for Martinez. And then obviously you got Delo and Mazraoui, who can play left back if needed. You got Amas in the wings. You got Malacia hopefully coming back. So really, left back isn't that bad. It's not that bad. I would personally say our weak point at the moment is attacking midfield. I think obviously Mount's getting injured so much, we don't know where we stand with him. I think Bruno's too inconsistent. I think one game he can be really good, the next game he could be atrocious. So to me, it's what happens in the future with the attacking midfield. And I don't know if Maino can do that, and I don't know if Zexi could do that. They've got the skill to, so I'd be interested to see if that's what happens in the future. Johan says, Maguire pulled out and said, I need to recover, but Shaw stayed with the England camp even though he wasn't fit till the quarters. Yeah, I think Maguire and Shaw really like playing for England. But yeah, in the past, we've had United players who would rather play for United than England, and Sir Alex was always withdrawing players from especially friendlies and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've just been talking with the mic muted for a minute. So yeah, I'll repeat myself for myself and for you. But yeah, I was pissed off with Shaw going to England. in the summer. He should have been focusing on getting himself right for United. We pay his wages. We've stuck by him. But I think if he is to stay at the club, using him as a left-sided centre-back and depth there probably might be the best for him long-term, because you have to do a lot more work, and you're running at full pelt as well a lot of the time. And that puts stress on the body, because Giggsy had to, for years, played within himself, didn't he, because of his hamstrings. He said he didn't kind of run at 90 or 100% for like the last 10, 11 years of his career. And back to Bruno, I think his performances have been so erratic. So we've not had a settled team at all, have we? Kind of over the last 2 years. I think you put Bruno in the midfield with kind of Ugarte, Casemiro, Mainu. Well, of course, two of them, and then Bruno. I say I like a proper 4-3-3. I think he can do that because he is fine further back as well. But I think kind of there, with him being kind of making his high risk, high reward with Bruno in it, and I think having Mainu around him, and then kind of a proper foundation behind him, I think this will be a defining season as Bruno as a player. This will be the season that people look back on. And I think that's because of the foundation we're building there for the midfield.
Do you mean that in a good way or a bad way? So what I'm asking you there is, do you think this year he's going to do well, or do you think it's going to be another season of inconsistency?
No, I think this is when he makes the real step up to where he is undoubtedly seen as world class. His numbers have always been good. Performances haven't always been good. But I think now we've got that foundation of the other midfielders there with him. I think this is the season kind of he takes it to the next level.
Good comment here by Johan. He says Giggsy changed his lifestyle and started yoga to prolong his career. I remember, and I'm sure you do, he started playing in centre midfield. And to be honest with you, he looked really good there. Because all he needs to do is just a little drop of the shoulder, make a bit of space, pass it. And what I like about United is our legend players like Giggs, like Rooney, they played in different positions, mate. So you had Rooney who would play up front, or play second striker, or play sometimes on left and right wing, sometimes in centre midfield. Beckham could play right wing or centre midfield. That's what we need. We need players who can play in different positions. And I think that's what Ten Hag and the Dutch culture agrees with, that stance. And we need to do more of it, because let's be honest with you, we got too many players in the past who were very one-dimensional. Like, you're not going to ever get Maguire playing at right back, or DMF. It's just not going to happen because he hasn't got the agility to do so. So the more players that we have that can play different positions, the better. So, yeah.
I think kind of going back to the players under Fergie and them playing in different positions, that's kind of as much to do with their relationship with Fergie. And those players would, I know kind of sometimes towards the end of the career, like with Keane, it falls out, but they would run through a fucking wall for Fergie. And I think we've got players there who would do that for Ten Hag as well. So I think we're like Martinez, for example, him stepping out and playing in defensive midfield if we need. I think we see that, and I think he does that, and I think he'd be willing to learn that purely because of who his manager is.
Have you noticed in the last, maybe the last two games, if not definitely the last game against Brighton, let's say one of the defendant centre backs comes forward a bit with the ball, I'm seeing Casemiro drop into the position that they've left, so he becomes the centre back for that period of time. And it's things like that that people don't even clock. They don't understand that Casemiro is actually a very clever player, right? He's been around the block. He's won trophy after trophy after trophy. You don't stay at Real Madrid for that long unless you're one of the best, right? And the criticism that he's had is out of order, because in his first season, he was our most important player. When he got injured, we felt his loss. He helped us win the Carabao Cup by scoring that goal at header against Newcastle. He got a vital draw against Chelsea with a header. He pops up with goals at the right time, and he deserves a lot more respect than what he's had. And I know that you agree with that, because you and I are probably the only ones who are stuck with him this time.
Oh, bro, Casemiro. Do you know what Casemiro made me, right? I was getting a bit disillusioned with football. But his first season, I'm watching him, and I think I got a bit ahead of myself by saying everything that comes forward from this point is he's the catalyst. But he's so just fucking important. He was so important to how Madrid played. It's that job, as you say. It's when someone steps out, whether that be a left back, whether that be a centre half, he comes in and he lets them step out, and then his job is to sweep up and do that. But we were using him as because he can do it. He was basically a fucking number 8 for us, wasn't he? Most of the time, because he was doing the job of 2 players, and then he went to the desert with Brazil, so he played that, and he played all the way till fucking June, and then he wasn't given enough time to kind of recuperate and be ready for the next season. I don't think he ever caught his breath last season and then got injured. So it's, of course, it didn't look right. But I think that's why I never thought, when people are saying he's finished, he's not finished. There's a reason why he looked fucked. And anyone had looked fucked being asked to do the amount of football he has to do and the jobs he had to do. So, yes, that's why I've never for 1 second have I kind of lost kind of hope in Casemiro. That's all. I think, again, and he will be this season one of our more important players. And I don't know how kind of his English is coming along completely, but it wouldn't be surprise me at one time if he becomes captain, because I think that's he's tailor made for it, and it takes the pressure off Bruno as well. I don't want fucking Bruno being the one to talk to the referees, because it's always an accident waiting to happen. That, isn't it?
You're absolutely spot on about captain. He is captain material. He's a captain material. It's not a coincidence that when Bruno wasn't playing recently, that he's a captain. Yeah, it's not a coincidence. Let's remember that he got taken out of the FA Cup final. Now, to a player of his age, he hasn't got that many years left in football. To be taken out of an FA Cup final is hard. It's hard to take that. Can you imagine what someone with the mentality of Sancho would do? They'd be on the first plane out of there, right? But he's still here. Yeah, you can talk about salary all you want, but if there's one player who deserves a lot of money, it's him, because he has decades of experience. He can spend hours with our young players and teach them about how to be a professional. That is priceless. And we don't have enough players like him. And I'm very passionate about it, because if we'd had Casemiro, 5 years ago, we could have won a league by now, in my opinion.
Again, this is fucking. There's no arguing here, is there? It's and it's. He easily could have gone to the Middle East this summer, and he would have picked up a fantastic wage. But like he said, when he was before he came to us, when we got beat by fucking Brentford, and he said, "Don't worry, I'll fix it." And yeah, having him there when Mainey's coming through and Collie is coming through, what fucking better professional in the world for them young defenders, fucking young midfielders to learn from. I loved him at Madrid. Loved him. It's when he plays for Brazil. He was captain. I think he should be our captain. I fucking love him. I understand why he looked fucked, and the fact that he didn't mad off, as you say, after the FA Cup final. It's that shows he knows why he was dropped, and he clearly he's got over it. So he's not an idiot. He knows why he was dropped. He was on. He was never able to kind of get fit enough to be where we needed him last season, and it's because he never got a proper pre-season before it, and he was always playing catch up, and so by the end of kind of when he came back around at the same time as Mainu as well, didn't he? So no pre-season, 6 months of football. He looked dead on his fucking feet by the end of it, didn't he? So I understand why some people looked at him and thought he might be finished, but when there's an excuse and when there's a proper explanation why someone, it's like the injury last season, connected to our performance. It's if there's an excuse, it might be an excuse, but it's a fucking good one and it's a valid one and it's a fucking reason.
Going back to when he scored against Chelsea in his first season away, the way that he celebrated, it made me love the club again, because for quite a while, especially during the lockdown years, I fell out of love with football. When there's no crowd, it's not the same, right? So I fell out with love with football, and seeing Casemiro, what that goal meant to, this is a guy who's won everything, and to see what that goal meant to him made me fall back in love with United. It's as simple as that. So when people criticize him because he's left there on his own and he's trying to stop this and he's trying to stop that, while Mason Mount and Bruno are halfway up the fucking field because Bruno's lost the ball, for example, it's just the easiest scapegoat in the world. The easiest scapegoat in the world. We always have to have one at United, and it's not good enough. It's time that we actually get behind our players, right? Everyone can make a mistake. It's how you deal with that mistake. And people aren't going to deal with that mistake if you crucify them the moment it happens, go on social media and just call these people, and these are human beings. You got to put yourself in that position. None of these players want to make mistakes. They don't want to go without scoring goals for 10 games. It's time that we support the players. I'm not the biggest fan of Bruno, but if he picks his level up, you will see me praise him, because I don't have an agenda. I just want what's best for my club.
Yeah, 100%. I think it is so toxic and petty and just fucking just low class. It's like I think the Maguire thing. There was people who took genuine pleasure in that, and that wasn't good to see. And then like kind of with the knock-on effects and everything after it, it's like I said before, he needed pulling out the firing line, but the way some people gleefully went in at him. Again, it's go back, look at I can't remember whether it's this Twitter account or the last one, but I said with Maguire, I said, yeah, he's gone through this, but next season he will be important for both England and United. And it's after that the torrid run, where Ollie didn't pull him out the firing line, Ralph Ragnick didn't pull him out the firing line, and then kind of early doors with Ten Hag, it wasn't great either, was it? But he's come back at times and he's put some bloody good performances in. I like him. He's I don't think he's suited to where we're going. In the same way that McTominay isn't kind of suited to what we're aiming for, what we're striving for. It's a shame to see him go, McTominay as well. Kind of like the kid. The kid fucking hell, show me age, aren't I? But yeah, with Maguire, I think he was that's like a very severe example of it. But the way people gleefully kind of like to tear footballers down, it's just seeing that. I'm with what I've said about Sancho today. Sorry, one sec.
I'm just going to say this quickly while I remember. If Maguire was a player, I don't know, 20 years ago, perfect. Because he actually reminds me a bit of Steve Bruce. Steve Bruce wasn't the most technical centre-back in the world. But what he did was he put his head where it hurt. He'd header it, he'd score you some vital goals. And that's what really we wanted from Maguire when we bought him, in my opinion. But again, the Glazier effect of overpaying for him put the massive pressure on him, mate. So we got three examples here. You got Maguire, who we probably played double what we should have done. Anthony, double. Sancho, double. We've overpaid for these players by double. That's double the pressure, double the scrutiny on them, and there you go. That's what happens, isn't it?
Oh, sorry, I've just had like a complete brain fart and then a coughing fit after it. But we were kind of setting them up to fail from the beginning there, weren't we? And the way it is, again, Antonetti's like it's almost gleeful the way people are slagging him off now. They had to keep the mouth shut the first season, but with what happened last season, gleefully it was a panic day buy. We shouldn't have paid that much for him. But it's what's the point? If you support the club, you're supposed to want the players to do well and for us to be successful. Don't take fucking glee in our players not having a good time of it. It's just backwards. And then kind of like we were saying, Maguire being a bit of a throwback. Who struggled to fucking today's game is John Terry. And as me personally, I've always preferred Rio over John Terry. But on his day as a centre half, he's fucking amazing in the same way that Maguire is good. But I think he'd really struggle today.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Yeah, I want Anthony to get some playtime. What Ten Hag's doing at the moment, I've got to say is wrong. Because what he's doing, mate, he's bringing him on with like 5 minutes to go, 1 minute to go. Don't do that. Why even bother doing that? To me, it just sets the scrutiny on Anthony. Oh, look, this guy only gets 5 minutes. He only gets 1 minute. Don't even bother bringing him on. He's not going to have enough time to make an impression anyway, right? So I hope that he does more rotation because that's something that Ten Hag didn't do last year. He didn't do it enough. Him subbing off Bruno is one of the most positive things that I've seen him do in a long time. Because please, anyone tell me the last time you saw Bruno get subbed. I don't care if he's a captain. We've had captains that don't play well and then they get subbed or not played the next game. The club is bigger than the captain. The captain is supposed to be the leader, the inspiration. If he isn't doing inspiration or leading, get him off and put on someone else who you think can do a job. But yeah, Anthony, bringing him on for 5 minutes, 1 minute here and there, it's not the way.
Yeah, I think with Anthony as well. The Liverpool game in the FA Cup, Diallo finally got his flowers. No one mentions Anthony that game. Yeah, as we're saying, no one can be undroppable. It needs to go. To say football for me, you need two good players for each position, and then you play on form. That's how it should be. Captain's not undroppable. No one's undroppable. If you're in form, you play. If you're not playing well, you're off the pitch. I think it might be time for Rashford to ride the bench a little, and we've got to see how he reacts to that. Because he must know in his mind that he's not fucking doing his best. He's capable of a hell of a lot more, but I think he needs to go on the bench now for a little bit. And we've got to see how he reacts to that. So I think this is going to be, it'll either be the making or the end of him.
In terms of Garnacho, right? When he came on against Brighton, he was put on the left wing, and I think he got crowded out. If you're on the left wing as a right-footed player, you have to cut in because you got no room on the left really to go on the outside, right? So you got to be at the top of your game. You got to be ultra confident. That's why Rashford isn't doing very well because he's not confident. He's not. He knows that he's going to struggle to take on a player and get in the box. There's been games where he's not even had a shot. That's not acceptable. Our front three should be having at least 2 shots a game. Otherwise, there's something wrong. And it may be their fault or it may be the people in front of them, behind them, who are not supplying the right balls. But I just think Garnacho looks better on the right. So I think, again, the left wing is a problem. I don't know how it's going to be solved. I don't.
Yeah, because I think, especially it being Liverpool tomorrow, it's kind of at the worst time, isn't it, to be making those decisions and making that decision because the game's so big, and whatever decision is made will be blown out of our proportion because of the size of the game tomorrow, I think. So yeah, it's just got to be kind of sorting that out and doing it in the right way, because he does need dropping at some point, unless he gets it back. But we've got to see how Dalot links up with the players on that side. If Dallow's going to start at left back, we've got to see how he functions as an outlet for those players. I know his games come on leaps and bounds on the right, kind of in the last 18 months. But he needs to kind of show that on the left. He needs to become an outlet for them, because then otherwise all they've got to do is turn inside or run into the corner, blind our left, lose the ball, and then kind of that's no good for anything. So I think Dalot is going to be a massive part of the game tomorrow, with whoever starts on the left.
So give me your starting 11, then. You might as well just tell me who you think is going to start. You could even do two. You could say what you want, but what you think Ten Hag might do, because it might be different, completely different.
Right, what I personally would do tomorrow: Anana in there, of course, Dalot left back, Martinez, De Ligt, Mazraoui on the right. Then I think start Casemiro, Mainu, Bruno, Xerxes through the middle, and Garnacho and Rashford. I think that's probably who Ten Hag starts. Me personally, tomorrow, I'd probably start Diallo and Garnacho on the wings. But kind of the rest the same. But I'd risk that tomorrow because Rashford needs dropping at one time or another. So why not try tomorrow?
So if that's the case, then you're going to put Ahmad on the right and you're going to put Garnacho on the left. How long do you give it? Let's say we don't score a goal. Let's say we're losing. How long do you give the wingers until you bring on Rashford or maybe Anthony? How long? 60 minutes?
No, well, if it's not working, I'd pull them at half time. So we've got 5 subs now. So there's not that, oh, we can't make a substitution at half time because it'll leave us short further in the game. If it doesn't work first half, fucking change it up at half time. Sometimes 60 minutes is too late. So yeah, actually, do you know what? So I didn't even think of Antony because kind of what's gone on. But yeah, Antony tomorrow could be a shout. On the right, and then play Garnacho on the left. Because it kind of gives you that little bit more structure. Because he's, no matter as bad as he can be with the ball at his feet, he's good tactically. He knows where he's supposed to be. He knows what he's supposed to do. But yeah, we'll try one. If it doesn't work, switch it up at half time. Xerxes got to stay down the middle, I think. So yeah.
I can't really argue with that. Obviously, then it might all change when Ugarte is actually allowed to play, because obviously he wasn't registered in time, so he's not going to be able to play. But my team would be very similar to yours. I honestly don't know what I'd do about the wingers. I think that's the biggest problem at the moment. I'm not too sure. But next game we play, I want to see Ugarte and Casemiro. I really do. I think that's a game changer. That I think they allow then whoever plays an attacking midfield to really attack, knowing they've got 2 players who can actually defend. And also, Ugarte is out and out DMF. I like Casemiro attacking. I do. I like him bringing the ball forward, spraying it left and right, getting in the box, heading it. So yeah, going forward, I'd like to see some games with Ugarte and Casemiro. Just like I wanted to see more of Casemiro and Amrabat in the same team, but it barely happened. And let's not forget that in in the good old days of Sir Alex, he would play someone like Fletcher and Carrick against the big teams to make us more solid. And then he'd use people like Ronaldo and Rooney, Tevez, whoever it might be, to counter. And if it's good enough for the treble wing insides of Sir Alex, etc., it's good enough for now.
100%, 100%. Yeah, it's up to now. We've got the players there. I think we've kind of got everyone there, haven't we? Really, it's horses for courses. Depends who we're playing and what's needed. Against someone like City, being able to play a Casemiro and Ugarte next to each other, you can kind of shut down certain passages of play there where they've kind of had a lot of joy against us, and kind of that goes for anyone who's kind of very good down the middle and making chances from like through the middle, being able to kind of play them too as a foundation for whether you can play Mainu in front of them. You could, Bruno will probably play, but it's either of those two with Bruno or Mainu in front of them, depending on who we're playing. It'll work. It's just having the options to do that and being able to choose the right players for the right situations, so players can play themselves into form and kind of stake the claim to be the starting one for the position as well.
It's in a way, it's such a shame that we didn't, and I know why we didn't, because PSG are a bunch of pricks, to be honest with you. Let's be honest about it. But let's say we've got Ugarte, I don't know, weeks ago, and he played, and he could play against Liverpool. Can you imagine the crowd, what they'd be like the first crunching tackle he does on a Liverpool player? Gets the ball, but makes the player fly up in the air. I just can't wait for moments like that. That's what gets the crowd going. It's not just skill going past the player. It's also the effort. And that's why me and you like Casemiro, because now and then he'll go in with a crunching tackle, an interception, a header out. It's the dirty work. That's what gets the gets the crowd behind you. So I can't wait to see Ugarte actually play for this team and make a difference. I honestly can't wait. It's something that we've needed for a long time. He's only 23. He's got a whole season to learn from Casemiro, which is insane as well.
Yeah, it's like having Roy Keane and Nicky Butt there. I know kind of all different players, but kind of personality-wise and throwing that first tackle in, it's I think you can kind of compare them on that. And Casemiro's got that that right level of snide when it needs to be done. I know kind of he's been treated a bit harshly by referees, but he gets away with it a lot as well. So yeah, we've got that right kind of the right steel there, and then just enough snide to go with it as well.
So Johan has said, I've said 3-1 to United on multiple channels, so I'm going to stick with it. What are your predictions? Well, that's exactly what we've said, 3-1. We don't think it's going to be a tight game. We really want to win the game. We're at home, first derby. We lost our last game. We need to get back on the winning train. Liverpool will want to do well because it's their first derby with a new manager. So I think the home advantage means that we win this. And I think 3-1. And if you had to press me for who's going to score for us, I can see Xerxes scoring, especially after what happened to him in the last game where his knee ruled out the goal. That is so comical. That is so Man United to not score a goal because of someone's knee. So I reckon he's going to score. And then I would say either Garnacho or Ahmad is going to score. And then maybe even Casemiro, a nice little header. What about you? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, completely can see all that happening. We're making big chances, we're just not putting them away. So yeah, and you know what? So don't be surprised if Anthony scores. So,
my God, can you imagine the internet if Anthony comes up? Say it's 0-0, Anthony comes off the bench, scores a top corner left-footed goal. Can you imagine? What are these haters going to say then, mate?
I'm going to say that's his goal, isn't it? That's his go-to. The fucking left-footed screamer from about 20 to 30 yards. So yeah, that'd get your season going, get people off his back, because it's one of them. It's you see it at Old Trafford. It's when players aren't playing well, and it's the groans from the crowd. And I think that must be fucking demoralising as a player if you're not playing well. And you started with Maguire when it wasn't working. It's especially all like misplaced passes. It's that groan that's need to kind of get rid of that. Just get behind the lads, and yeah, I think we will win tomorrow, because there's nothing in Liverpool that fucking scares me. I know Salah's Salah, and he'll always pop up like the fucking bad returning fucking nightmare and sleep paralysis demon he's become to us. But yeah, they don't scare me. And if we can click a little bit, and if we can make chances, I think there is, as we've all said, 3-1, haven't we?
In a way, it's almost the perfect game for this time of the season. We want to get back on track. We're at home. If it was away, it's a totally different thing. Totally thing. We're at home. Get the crowd behind us. Put pressure on them from the moment we kick off. Attack. Forget about leaving yourselves open. We didn't used to worry about that back in the day, right? We were cavalier, especially at home. We get men forward, left, right wing, put crosses into the box. I want to see Xerxes in the box. I want to see Bruno in the box. I want to see Casemiro there. I just want us to flood the opposition area with our players, and let's see what happens. And if we win, the mood will change so drastically, because people after the Brighton game, they were so reactionary. It was actually unbelievable. Guys, it was the second game of the season. It's not 2 games left of the season. It was the second game. Just relax, yeah? Let's see what happens, man.
Yeah. As I say, we played well against fucking Chelsea. Fully deserved the win against Fulham. And then kind of Brighton, it was just that goal, wasn't it? It's that goal was in, and it's a different kind of atmosphere around it, but certainly kind of online, it's a different world kind of. So I think that's why I can manage to kind of keep the positivity. I kind of try not to dwell on it too much, and then the rest of my football talking is kind of like with my mates around here, or when I'm walking the dog, and you get kind of lumbering and talking to kind of the old fellas, and it's so kind of I don't why do you want to be negative this early in the fucking season? It was hard, just the ball bouncing in off a fucking knee, centimetre away from fucking where it wouldn't have mattered. And when it's that kind of that fine of a line that's between people fucking losing the plot and people going, oh, okay, I've got away at Brighton early morning as well, so you've got a fucking trip down to Brighton and an early door start. So that was never the perfect fucking football conditions. Anyway, certainly for us, we always struggle with early starts, and because we're Manchester United, they want us on the telly, so we get a lot of the fucking early starts, and it's not great for anyone, because you got players having to fucking eat a fucking plate of pasta at 8:30 in the morning because they need it in the system at the right time, so they've got the energy for it. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't get why people lost their heads there at Brighton. And I think, as we've said, this is the perfect game to kind of turn that round and hopefully kind of change the narrative a bit.
Exactly right, my brother. So I think we're going to wrap up the stream now, because we're approaching 2.5 hours. Now, to me, that is pretty impressive, because for anyone who's watching this and listening now, me and Crumps have never spoken before in audio. I know him from Twitter for probably about a year now. This is the first time we've spoken, so hopefully you're listening to this and you realise that we're decent, honest people, got no agenda, want the best for our club. We understand it's a sport, it's a hobby, it's not life or death. So we don't go to the extremes that other people are going to go. You can see how many subscribers I've got. I haven't got like millions or hundreds of thousands. I'm here for just a place for me to vent, bring other people like Crumps on so he can vent or just talk about what he wants, and you guys in the chat to talk about what you want. Rude and Johan, I'm gonna give you a mod now. Yeah, just say whatever last words you got, Crumps, while I just give these guys some mods. Yeah, one sec.
Yeah, well, I think that's my debut on the internet, kind of in audio. And I think the last time I did anything remotely like this was with James Stanich in before the takeover, when I was seeing how bad the Glazers would be to the club. But I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And as we say, yeah, we've only ever spoke kind of on Twitter before, here and there, haven't we? We've got kind of similar views. So yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed this. I can't believe we've gone a full 2.5 hours.
That's when you know it's a good thing, because it's not forced, and we just speaking from the heart. I haven't got anything written down. All I've got is my brain and my fading memory, right? But we've managed to talk for 2.5 hours. We have slipped off into hip hop here and there, but we brought it back to the game. So, Crumps, Johan is asking for your Twitter so he can follow you.
It's just that Crumps in it, I think. I think it is. Let me
I'll have a look.
see if we can go back.
If on Twitter, if you just type in Crumps, Crumps, you'll find him. And mine is Elite Baller 2050 on Twitter. If you follow me on there, I'll follow you back. I'm not a celebrity who doesn't follow people back. I'll always follow you guys back. So yeah. And yeah, have you found it, Crumps, or? He may have come out of the chat accidentally. But yeah, don't worry, guys. We're going to be doing this again. We'll do this again in not long. We'll probably come back and talk about the Liverpool match, and see what you guys think. And if anyone wants to come on the panel next time, you're more than welcome to. Just like I said, add me on the Twitter at Elite Baller 2050 2050. Yeah, and I'll tell you when I'm going live, and if you want to join, you can join. Like I said, it's no problem, mate. You still there, Crumps? Yeah, he's found you. You found me. You found Crumps? What I'll do is I will get his Twitter account, and I'll put it in the comments for this video, so that if anyone wants to follow him, which I recommend, you can do so. But yeah, we're going to wrap up, guys, because I need to go and have my dinner. Been going 2.5 hours now, so it's been a pleasure talking to you, everyone. Big up yourself, Johan. You got a mod now. Big up Rude, you got the mod now as well. And Casimir, you've got the mod now as well. Anyone who comes in and contributes, you'll get a mod. Because I trust that you're here for the right reason. So why wouldn't I bless you with that So yeah, thanks everyone for watching and really appreciate it. You there, Crumps? No, he's not. Right, anyway, guys, I'm going to end it now. Come on, United, we can do this. It's time to take the stage. Forget what's happened in the past. Let's support the lads, and I know that we can come up with a positive result tomorrow. And even if we don't, guys, let's not get too low. Let's not get too high. You know, it's not life and death. If we win, it's a bonus. If we don't, let's not go over the top. All right. Take care, everyone. It's been really good speaking to everyone. Take care. All the best.